the Nosy Librarian book tag, coming up. Hey guys, welcome back to Book Your Imagination. My name is Anne. Today I am doing the Nosy Librarian book tag. It's got the word librarian in it, so you know I can't resist. I was tagged by Adrian at Stripped Cover Lit, and he is the creator of the tag. I have a link to the original tag in the description box below, so definitely check it out. There are 10 questions in this tag, and question 10 has 2 parts. So I'm actually going to start with the second part of question 10, which is compliment Stripped Cover Lit. And that's easy to do. Stripped Cover Lit is Adrian and Dalton. They live in Missouri, and when they are doing the videos together, they play off of each other. They have different points of view, and it makes it really interesting. But they also do their own videos, which are also interesting. They do a mix of classical literature to contemporary literature, and they're doing a Harry Potter series that they've been doing for a while now, going through all of the books. So definitely check out their channel. So now that that part is over, let's get into the rest of the questions. Question 1, what has been the most influential library in your life? Hands down, this has to be the Burbank Public Library in Burbank, California. I absolutely love this library. Not only do they have great books and new releases, but they're really a community library. They have got CDs, movies, books on tape, and they have a lot of community events. They have a photography contest. They have done the One City, One Book and a number of events for that. And because Burbank is a company town, there are a ton of authors and industry people who live in the area who will come by and give panel discussions or lectures. I've seen Cornelia Funke there, Sherilyn Kenyon, the screenwriter for Murder, She Wrote, just all kinds of people. It's just a really great library. Question 2, honest assessment. What will they title your biography? Honestly, I think it'll be called Anne Who? Question 3, the story from your life that you most hope the librarian never finds out. All right, so I'm going to tell you the marijuana story. In January 2017, recreational pot was made legal in California. So naturally, I was curious. I went to a dispensary. I waited a couple of weeks, but it was still like packed and crazy busy. So I was looking for an edible. I thought that would be a good place to start. Really what I wanted was a pot brownie. But just kind of as an aside, you know, none of the dispensaries here sell brownies. They'll sell gummy bears or candy bars or mints or other things, but no brownies. Anyway, so I'm at the dispensary. It's really crazy busy, and I end up in the wrong line. So after being in this line for 45 minutes, I'm like, I'm not getting in the other line. So I ended up buying these marijuana buds. And so I say to the guy, what do I do with these? And he's like, oh, you get some paper and you roll it up and you make a joint. And I'm thinking, okay, I can do that. So I got the paper. Then I get home, I lay everything out, and I take these buds and I put it in the paper and roll it up and try to light it. Now, if you know anything about marijuana, you know this is not how you do it. You actually have to have a grinder to grind those buds, the buds up. And if you don't have a grinder, you can try with scissors. So that's what I did, is I got my scissors. I am clipping these marijuana buds into little teeny tiny pieces. And then I finally get them rolled up. And you're also supposed to have a filter. So I took another piece of paper and rolled it up and made a little filter. So I finally had my joint. I light it and I take one big toke off of it. And I swear I felt like I was breathing the fire directly into my lungs. It was so painful. I put that thing out and I have not tried since. Question 4, what is your favorite word? Pickle. Pickle is a funny word. You know what? Try this. In any conversation, just say the word pickle and someone will laugh. It's just a really great word. Question 5. 3 weird things you're afraid of and 1 way you would prefer not to die. All right, so weird thing number 1. I have a little bit of face blindness, which means I don't always recognize people. I can't tell some people apart. And this is not a racist thing. It's not like all black people look the same or all Asian people look the same. It typically, for me, happens with fair-skinned white people. I don't know why. But when I was doing online dating and I would talk to someone and we would decide to meet, I would just totally panic that I wouldn't recognize them because I saw their picture, but I may not recognize them in real life. Or if I've met someone for the first time and then I have to meet them a second time, it just totally freaks me out that I'm afraid I won't recognize them. And it actually has happened before. So it's a weird thing to be afraid of, but I think it's a legitimate thing. Weird thing number 2, I didn't have a weird thing number 2, but weird thing number 3 kind of ties in with one way you would prefer not to die. Now, I totally get this is an unreasonable fear, but I have a fear of being in a car, having a crash into a body of water and being trapped and drowning. So that's the way I would prefer not to die, is drowning. But this, I've never been in a car crash. I've never been in the water. I've never been close to this. It's a really unreasonable fear. And I know how to swim, so it's not a question of that. But this bothers me so much that I bought this little device. This has a thing at the end that you can break your window if you're underwater. And it's got this razor, so you can cut your seatbelt and get out. And it's got a USB port, so it's useful when you're driving in the car, and a flashlight. So once you get out of the car, you can see your way up to the top. So I know it's an unreasonable fear, but I bought this and I carry it with me always. Question 6, your favorite book as a grade schooler? Probably Pippi Longstocking. She had red hair and freckles, and so did I. Question 7, what have your interactions with the police been like? So I actually just had an interaction with a policeman. He was a plainclothes detective, but I did not know this. He had nothing that identified him as the police, hence plain clothes, you get that. So he's leaning up against the building next to my apartment door, and as I come up, he pushes off of the building like he's going to follow me in. And you just don't do that. So I said, "Do you have a key?" He's like, "No." And I said, "Well, I can't let you in. You have to call the person you're here to see and they have to buzz you in, but I can't let you in." He says, "I'm a policeman." I said, "I don't care. If you don't have a key, you have to call the person you're here to see and they have to buzz you in." He's like, "Who are you?" I'm like, "I'm the tenant who's not letting you in the building." He's like, "I'm a policeman. Look at my ID." But he's holding his ID down here. Now, you know from elementary school, if a bully says, "Oh, look down here," as soon as you look down, they've got your nose. And in adult life, if someone is trying to get you to look down, they could easily take advantage of you. I'm an older single woman living in the city by myself. I'm a target, and I recognize that. So there is no way I was going to take my eyes off of him to look down at his ID. And so I said, "Look, I'm sorry. I'm not letting you in the building." So I back up, and then I turn around and I start texting the building manager. And that's when I realized, yeah, he really was a police detective and they were there executing a search warrant for someone else in the building. So that was my last interaction with the police. Question 8, your all-time favorite book cover. This is a really tough question. I went back through all of the books that I read and looked at the book covers to see if I could find one that was my all-time favorite, and I couldn't. But the ones that I found that I really liked were from the Fallen World series by Laura Thalassa. I love how the artist has taken these portraits and stylized them. I think they're just creative and striking, and really they stand out. I think they're really wonderful. Question 9, how many places have you lived? I grew up in Harlan, Kentucky, which is down in the Appalachian Mountains. We moved to Shelby County. I graduated high school there. I moved to Moorhead, where I went to college. And after college, I lived in Louisville, Kentucky for a few years. Then I moved to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I was engaged to a man I was madly, passionately, hopelessly, and desperately in love with. And he was too, with his ex-wife. After that disastrous year, I moved out to the LA area and I lived in Arcadia in a closet. Not a room that was as small as a closet, but a literal closet. Then I moved to an apartment in the Beverly Hills area. I lived with my brother. We moved to an apartment in LA proper. Then he got married, so I moved to Sherman Oaks for a few years, and then I moved in with my boyfriend in North Hollywood. He turned out to lie and cheat a lot, so I moved out and got another house in North Hollywood, and then I bought the place that I own today in Burbank, California. But I work up in the San Francisco Bay Area, which is about 400 miles north, so I have an apartment now in downtown San Francisco. So that's 13 places, I think. Question 10. Tag 11 booktubers whom you like and or admire, and why you like and or admire them. Before I do the 11 booktubers, first, 11 is just a really weird number, but anyway, I want to thank you, Adrian, for tagging me to do this tag. It has really been a blast and probably more information than you ever wanted to know about me. Secondly, if you are watching this and you would like to do this tag, consider yourself officially tagged by me. So here are the 11 people that I tag and why I like to watch their channels.